Okay, what's going on YouTube? I figured I'd do a budget zombie deck profile. It's more geared towards like people who are like trying to get into the game. Because what this game has issues with is like new people getting into the game. It's usually players who are been playing for years, and a lot of new players might be wondering like what deck to play or like might find the game confusing. So I figured might as well like post a deck that like, okay, this is what I start with, and then kind of go from there and kind of edit as I go along. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. For the monsters, I run three Shiranui Solitaire because he searches any of your zombie monsters from your deck. And then three unit zombie. Basically, you can discard a card and then increase a level of a monster on the field, so it can be any of your monsters or your opponents. He's really good because he can pitch any of your dead zombie monsters that or any dead cards that are in your hand. Like if you have Mizuki in hand or something, you can pitch him. You can also send from your deck to grave. So he's really good. And then three Gozuki. He's just a walking foolish burial. When you have him face up on the field, what you can do is send a zombie monster from your deck to grave. Usually Mizuki, but it can be any other zombie. And then I run three Mizukis, one Banshee, one of the Zombie Master, and then two Glow Up Blooms, and then two Beldrock. The Glow Up Blooms search out your Doom King Beldrocks, and then your Beldrocks is used for like negation. If he ever leaves the field, like he goes to the graveyard, you can special summon him back out if you have Zombie World, and it's really easy to to get out Zombie World if whether you use terraforming or Necro Banshee is a terraforming for the deck. So because when she's either on the field or in the grave, you can banish her and then search Zombie World. You can also send Glow Up Bloom. So Glow Up Bloom is when it's sent to the grave. If you don't have the field spell, it adds Beldrock to hand. If you do have the field spell, it special summons him. And then I run two Jack O'Balin. Basically, what he does is you can discard a zombie monster, so I'll summon this card from your hand. And then during the opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target one zombie monster in either graveyard, so I'll summon that, but banish it when it leaves the field, and then banish this face-up card to the end phase. But I usually use him for like rank 7 plays. For like Red Eyes or something, because the Dark Flare Metal is really good for like just doing burn damage. And then two effect failures for hand traps, only because I do have the two Ash Blossoms, but Ash Blossoms are kind of fucking expensive. Even the common Ash Blossom from the Soul Burner structure deck is like $10 each. And again, it's more for like budget, like people who are like on a budget or new players who are trying to get into the game and not trying to spend too much. Then three Zombie Worlds, because it wouldn't be a zombie deck without it. And then I run two trade-ins because of the Beldrocks, and it's really easy to get off and get an easy draw too because of the Glow Bloom. And then I run three Alert Darknesses, just for more consistency. Three Dark World Dealings, only because you want stuff in your grave. You want to put stuff in your grave, and this really helps you to thin out your deck and also put things in your graveyard. And then I run three Pot of Desires. I personally I don't like this card. I think it's on more the side of like more of a Nig 9, but it is cheaper now than let's say Pot of Extravagance or if you want, and you don't really want to use something like Pot of Duality because that's gonna negate your special summons. But Pot of Desires is more like a more budget friendly draw to, but that's the only reason why I run it. And then Foolish Burial, just to count that off for the consistency. You can also run things like Upstart or One Day Apiece. But but it's just I had to cut space and trying to make it as close to 40 as possible. Just for back row removal, twin twisters. It also dumps zombies in your graveyard, so that kind of helps. And then one book of life, because it actually banishes one of your opponent's monsters from the graveyard, and then you can special summon one of your zombie monsters, from your graveyard. So it's like a slightly better Monster Reborn for the deck. You could bump it up to like 2 or 3. It's just one of those things where it's like a consistency thing. Plus, you also have other ways of special summoning from the grave. So it's not as necessary. It's just one of those things where it's like, it's more of a player preference. I also, and then 2-dimensional barriers, just to kind of help slow down the game, because we're in because the new rulings, because before with like link summoning, this was like really good before, because you can just declare, oh hey, you can't pendulum, you can't fusion, synchro and Xyz. And then once link summoning came out, this card was kind of useless because you had to use link monsters. Now they kind of reverted back to that, so this is actually a lot better now, because if you're going up against, let's say, like Fright Furs or Cyber Dragons or some shit, you can basically just activate this and be like, oh hey, you can't summon Infinity, or you can't whatever. Or if you're going up against Noble Knights, which was one of my favorite decks, you can just be like, hey, you can't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Noble Knights really want to Xyz summon. But yeah, for the extra deck, I'm running one Levier, one number 60. He's really good because what he does is he has 3 different effects. The first one is skip your next draw phase, also draw 2, and then discard 1. During your next main phase 1, also special summon 1 monster from the graveyard in defense position. Skip your next battle phase, and then it can double the attack of 1 monster. So he can help close out game if you use the double damage effect, or if you want to like extend your plays, the whole special summon from grave. And then I usually use him just for the draw, because it's like another Dark World Dealings, so he's really good for that. That goes to Emerald, because he's shuffled back monsters and you get to draw a card. And its other effect isn't relevant, because it's target 1 non-effect monster in your graveyard, and you don't run normal monsters. So I mean, I'll just run Evil Storm Nightmare just to like stall a little bit, because it's like a Book of Moon type thing. And then I also run 1 Castell just to bounce back stuff. 101 Silent Arc. He used to be like really hard to get a hold of. Same thing with Castell, because when they came out, they were like really good cards. But it's a lot easier to get these two now than it was like several years ago. Same thing with the Best Dweller, because they used to be like really good like a few years ago. Now not so much, only because how the game progressed. Also, I run 1 Time Thief Redoer, because he's really good, because if you summon him, and you get to start taking cards off your opponent's deck, and then attach them on to him as an Xyz material, and then you can detach Xyz materials, and then it gets an effect based on what you detached. So if it's a monster, if you detach a monster that was a material, you get to banish them to unface. If it's a spell card, you get to draw a card, and then if it was a trap, you can place 1 face-up card your opponent controls on top of the deck. So it kind of lets you, if you use the trap, if you're able to get a trap on him as like an Xyz material, he's really good, because you can kind of control more of what you're putting onto him. And then I run 1 Flare Metal just because he does like 500 points of damage if when your opponent activates an effect. And just one of these can be like really good, because there are some cards where your opponent has to pay life points anyways. Like a Hero Lives, you have to pay half your life points to activate that, then it's another 500 if you're playing heroes. There's just some other cards where you have to pay life points like 2,000, or like Warning, for instance, you have to pay 2,000 to activate that, and that's another 500 on top of that. And then I run one number 107 Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. You can make him with the two level 8 fuckers. Beldrox. And then one Galaxy Eye Cipher. And then I'm only running one Lake Monster, and that being the Vampire Sucker. I can only find one in the binders. I couldn't find my second copy. I'm not sure what happened to it, but I would put another one in here if I could find it. But she's really good because when she's on field, when the zombie monster is summoned from either graveyard, you get to draw a card. And then if a zombie monster would be if you can also target one monster your opponent controls, and it's supposed to feel in defense position, it becomes a zombie. So that way you can kind of activate both effects, which is kind of cool. And then that's pretty much it for the deck profile. Again, this is just supposed to be like a budget version for like new players if they want to get into the game. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this helps.